Alright everybody, welcome. This is update 0.40. Took a few days off this week to celebrate my 20th anniversary of my wife. It was a fun celebration down in Seattle, and took a few days and didn't have to look at a computer for those 2 days, which is kind of great. Well, it's actually even greater to be back. So a few things here for you. First off, some new props. I got a great prop suggestion from one of our early beta users, Marcel. He suggested I add practical two-gun targets to the design tool. So it's under miscellaneous. And so now if you hit miscellaneous now, you see the practical two-gun targets. Looks a little bit like an IPSC target but with a hitbox. I believe it's 2 in the A zone, 3 anywhere, or 1 in the K box to neutralize the target, which is pretty interesting rules. You can look at some of the match videos on YouTube if you look for practical two-gun. You have the regular targets. You also have the PCC target. These aren't no-shoots, these are PCC. So these are pistol targets, these are PCC targets, and then no-shoots are the ones in red. So I have the targets on stand, I have the targets just alone. I also have, for instance, if you want to make a tuxedo target like that too as well. And so for those of you who shoot practical two-gun, you want to design stages for it, you can do that in Practisim Designer now. Next thing is, for those of you who are in the Imperial system, who are not moving to metric yet, well, I'm kind of also still stuck to Imperial, unfortunately. You can now change dimensions using feet as well. So instead of doing just meters, you can also specify feet. And in order to change the dimensions, the first 3 are fixed. You can't change any of these. Are basically provided by the system. So if you want to create a new one, you just hit plus to create a new preset, and then you can then specify a dimension. So let's say I want to specify 25 feet by 33 feet, for instance, right? And I want to make it red bricks with a blue floor or something like that. So there you go, right? So you can do that too, or using feet, or using metric system using meters. The other thing is, also notice that, you know, for small stages like this, if you were to go and try and take a look at the picture, let's say if I want to hit escape and I go to camera control, you see that if you do full stage or even perspective, let's try custom. Let's go up. Let's float up. Let's back up here. And so some of you might be taking pictures that looks like this, which you have the front wall obscuring everything else, right? And so now you have an option. If you go to change bay, you can remove the front wall. So just uncheck this, and now the front walls will be gone, so that you can actually print it out nicely. You can actually, you know, add a custom camera, and then you go over to camera control and select custom. Now you have a very nice looking thing like that. You can toggle cell shade as well. Since this is a light update, you also notice that I've raised the height of the character a little bit, and I've adjusted the height of the walls to be more correct. So if you go to the walls, the metric walls are fine. They are actually like 1 by 2 meters, and they're pretty straightforward. But the Imperial walls, or the old standard type walls, these were very odd in size before. They were like 6 feet instead of 8 feet. So the typical walls are about 8 feet. And I believe this is about 3 feet up. 3 to 8 feet is the size of the mesh. So I adjusted the height to be more accurate, and then when I did that, the character seems a little bit short. So I've raised the character up a little bit. So for those of you who are astute of you, what used to happen was, I was actually, if you look straight, you're actually pointing at the A zone at the top of the head, but now you're basically a little bit taller. And that would help with the walls with the ports, I believe. So now if you put the walls with the ports, now you can actually see targets through the port now. Because I raised the size of the port, the fence. Another small change is I've also moved the waypoints over to marker. So stage marker is where you find a waypoint, instead of having a miscellaneous, because I have no idea why waypoints are miscellaneous. Miscellaneous is all for a bunch of stuff that doesn't fit in any other category. So yeah, that is moved there. Also fixed a lot of bugs. There were issues with having double STG as a file name when you save the file. The large metal plates, if you add those large metal plates, so if you go 5 and you pick these ones here at the end here, these are supposed to be like for barriers, right? So for instance, if you want to put a bobber target at the back here, and these always were meant to be used as barriers, but they counted as no shoots for some reason, so I fixed all that. And there are also some issues with grouping where you have cycle groups. So for instance, if you were to specify, if you go to grouping mode and you say this is also grouped with this, or let's say with this wall, and then when you select the wall, you can also group it back with this target, which creates an infinite loop of a cycle of grouping. So I basically removed that functionality, and then if you were to load all stages with cyclic grouping, now I will actually warn you. So let me give an example. So if you go over to Stage Central and you pull out one of the files, I believe one of them here is a cyclic grouping. Oh, look at that! Steven uploaded a bunch of interesting stages. Very interesting. So let's go over to I think Marcel's one, into the ice bath maybe. There we go. So there was some issue, a bug before that allows you to do that cyclic thing. Now you can't, but if you were to load stages up, it will tell you there was a problem with the grouping. Two props were trying to parent each other, and I basically removed the grouping. So you have to re-establish the grouping if you want to do that. So let me just change the size of the bay here, put it back to the square. There we go. So now if you want to continue grouping, then you can just switch to grouping mode, and then you just recreate your groups again. I only had a few days to do this week, but next week I'll be working on something very interesting, so stay tuned for that. So again, let me know if you have any feedback or any bug reports. Just send me an email, look@ancientskygames.com, or go over to our Discord channel and then start sending me information there as well. Looking forward to seeing all your stages on Stage Central. I have a bunch here to look at from Steven, which is pretty cool. And apart from that, see you on the range.